Looks like this thing is on. What's up, everybody? So I wanted to chat tonight about this SEMA drag pack reveal from Dodge. And in particular, I wanted to talk a little bit about how that reveal made me actually kind of change my outlook on Mopar just a little bit. One of the things that really caught my attention about the reveal was, well, to be quite honest with you, it was almost as infuriating as the Hellefant ad was to any Hellcat owner at the time, except in this case, if you are thinking about buying a new Dodge or something like that, you're looking at maybe a 392 car, or you're the owner of a 392 car, and you've been following this trend of 11-second pony cars for any real length of time, and you've been a diehard Mopar fan the entire time that you've been in this game, you'll figure out pretty quickly why I'm actually at a bit of a loss for words to be able to describe how frustrating it is to sit there and watch Dodge release a go-kart that you can take to the drag strip and compete in a race series that nobody has ever heard of. And all the while, listen to a fella by the name of Mark Basonic talk about how this is a grassroots drag racing platform. All right, so let's talk about that for a little bit. First of all, I want to kind of pick apart this drag pack thing, mainly because I find it to be a major slap in the face to guys that are Mopar fans, and it's really more of a slap in the face to the true grassroots racer, not the guy that's got $100,000 lying around to just piss off on a toy that you can take to the drag strip. I'm talking about real working class men and women that like to take their daily to the drag strip and compete weekend over weekend over weekend. That is true grassroots racing. Not spending $100,000 on a toy that you can race potentially in a handful of races across the nation, or drag the thing to the drag strip on the back of your trailer and run it, and then put it back on your trailer and take it home, having it never have been ever a street car. Again, I'm reminded of who is actually flying the flag the highest for Mopar right now. It's and really who's being competitive with Mopar. It's the guys with the 392 cars versus the guys with the Mustangs versus the guys with the SS Camaros. That's where the real racing is being found, and that's where the real credibility comes from. Yeah, it comes from the street, and yeah, it comes from your Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Wednesday night races when you're taking your car to the drag strip and you're squaring off against the competition. The competition that you can actually relate to, mind you. Your grassroots racer, that's what you're talking about. Not somebody spending that kind of money on something to just further the Mopar brand. Mind you, this is the other thing too, and I'm a little bit scatterbrained with this because I feel like a shark in a school of fish right now. I've got so many targets that I want to go after with this. I'm having a hard time locking in. So let me just go with one for just an example. One of the things that truly pissed me off about that reveal was some bullshit slogan on the wall. It read something to the effect of, "We stand behind those that drive us." Are you kidding me, Dodge? That is the most incendiary thing almost you could have done, is to literally plaster it on the wall, all the while having the absolute worst record in terms of buyer satisfaction when it comes to taking care of warranty claims. With all this rock and roll and tire smoke that you seem to be marketing your cars with, you don't seem to be very happy to do any, how do you call it, accommodations for your grassroots racers when they bring their cars in if something goes wrong. Let's say you've got a Demon and you've decided to go with a different wheel and tire package. My man Demonology checking in. You take your car to the the dealership and you've got a frag rear end and they don't replace it. Why? Because you put a different set of tires on the back of the thing? Are you kidding me? Or you're going to deny a warranty claim on a rear end because of a, I don't know, a different drive shaft. The stupidest things under the sun, they're finding every reason in the world to deny a claim. It blows my mind how the audacity and the balls you got to have swinging to actually put that banner or whatever it was on the wall behind Mr. Basonic as he's rambling on about how great this car is and what it means to the Mopar brand. You know, what does FCA stand for? Fucking claims abound. I mean, that's been the biggest joke, right? Fiat, fix it again, Tony. I mean, that's really the world you're living in. And you really want to put a sign up like that? You're world renowned for being the absolute worst at denying claims, and yet you're going to post something like that up. Hysterical until you're cutting the check, right? It's all fun and games until you got to start scratching out a little bit of that change. So anyway, getting back to it, the other side of it, the thing that's killing me the most is the anticipation, the oohs and ahs about this could have been the opportunity for Dodge to unveil something that is, I don't know, how about direct connection? This is SEMA, all right? It's the aftermarket show. This isn't a brand new car show. This is the aftermarket show, and you brought a car. Yeah, I get it, the Jeep thing and the trucks or whatever. We're talking about the thing that you decided to put on display here, and it was the car, as opposed to saying, hey, look, we got direct connection coming out. It's going to be amazing. You can buy parts for your 392. We got a neat intake. We got an aluminum block. We've got an exhaust. We got whatever you want to talk about for your 392. We've got it for you. You want to go out and be a grassroots racer? We're going to support you. We got the tech. We've got the parts. We've got everything you're going to need to be a winner, or to at least be competitive, or feel like you're competitive, or have the look of somebody that's competitive. Whatever you want, we got for you. And we're going to market the living hell out of it. And you're going to feel great about it. Brotherhood of the muscle, right? Whatever. So we're going to do, no, hell no. It's some freaking car that is going to be competing again in a world that doesn't even apply to the grassroots racer. Yet the guy says, this is what we're going to put together for the grassroots racer. And then in the same breath says, but we're only building 50, so it's going to be a collector's item. Mark Basonic. Good job, Jack. You literally talked out of both sides of your mouth at that point. You said we're supporting the grassroots racer by drag pack. Bullshit. You've had the drag pack since what, 2008, 2010? I'm sorry, I can't remember things that long ago. We're talking something that is a 10-year-old thing, and you roll the thing out with the same blown 354, mind you. Not a blown 6.2, not a blown 392, not an NA 392. I must have something to do with the race class rules. I don't really care. All I know is that you'll roll this thing out with basically a blown 5.7. It runs 7-second quarter miles. It weighs as much as a freaking king-size bed, and it's making 1,500 horsepower. Phenomenal. The thing 7. It didn't go 7s. I'd say you got a problem. And by the way, Jack, don't be so proud of running 7s with your $100,000 race car when you've got guys that have got less than $30,000 in built trucks down here in Tejas that are running in the 7s and in the 8s. Yeah, and these are street legal trucks. Well, about as street legal as they get. Let's just call it H-Town street legal, all right? That drive to and from the track. Yeah, something you might want to consider before you get all freaking high in Christ mighty about your freaking drag pack, you fuck. And the other thing that really is driving me nuts about this whole thing is just the smug way of coming about it. The guy's talking about, I've been a part of Mopar. I've been, sounds like freaking Foghorn Leghorn to me after a while. After all of it is said and done, I watched the reveal, I listened to what the guy said, and when he said 50 in collector's item, I hit stop. I don't care if they had a freaking armada of chicks topless parading across the stage with fireworks and buzzsaws and whatever going off. it doesn't matter to me because I would have missed it. I'm telling you, I am so turned off right now by Mopar in general, by Dodge as an entity right now. Not my car and not the cars that I've driven and not the cars that I've had the opportunity to experience. But now, it's in the now that I would have to say that if Dodge comes out with something amazing, I would second, triple, and quadruple guess its durability, longevity, its ability to manage every single one of the use, abuse, and misuse criteria on the engineering side. I would never, ever buy another Dodge vehicle, though, willingly. Like, I would never be excited about it. I would have so many boxes that would have to be checked off before I would ever shell out the shekels needed to drop coin on a freaking new Dodge based just on that. But you know what? I will say, and when I say based on that, is based on the reveal at SEMA. At the aftermarket show, you're bringing a car instead of direct connection and aftermarket parts, but you want to tout the Jeep. You're going to holler at the Jeep until your freaking head explodes. But and you're going to talk about racing. Ain't nobody racing Jeeps, son. This ain't Jeep racing. This is drag racing. What is this, man? You freaking lost your mind? You're going to be revealing the freaking drag pack, but you're going to be talking about a Jeep? You're not getting it. You're not understanding why people like me get this frustrated and start to tap their foot. Let me remind everybody of just a few things that are going on in the automotive world right now. And let me also remind everybody where the true grassroots racer, the flag bearer for Mopar right now, let me tell you, it's the 392 guys, by the way. Don't start thinking I'm talking to you, Hellcat owners. It's the 392 guys that have been out there putting the hurt on Mustangs and Camaros leading up to this point. But that's leading up to this point, not this point moving forward. Let me tell you where you're at. Number one, the food chain has gotten a whole lot more diverse, especially with the GT500 coming into the picture. But right now, as it sits on a drag strip, on a drag pack, it looks a little bit like this. And we're going to take the Demon out of this because the Demon is from last year. However, it's honorable mention, top of the food chain. But we're going to kick that thing off. We're going to move straight to the red eye on the drag pack, or on the drag strip, on a drag pack, red eye. And then it's going to be real close, Hellcat or GT500, and then it's going to be ZL1. After that, we got the NA fellas. Right now, as it sits on a drag pack, you're going to have hell beating a Mustang GT. So we're going to put Mustang GT right at the very top. We're going to put the Camaro and the 392 on a pretty even playing field, but they're all very close. But close doesn't matter. We're looking for the win light, and the win light goes Mustang, probably Camaro. If you've got a really good launch and you've got really perfect track prep, the Camaro is going to have to gun down the 392, but there's no guarantee that Camaro is going to lose, and the Camaro is much more upgradable. We ain't even talking about that, but since we're bringing SEMA into this, we may as well. That knocks the 392 down a peg, and you don't even bring in the 5.7 because that ain't how this game is played. So, 392 guy, guess what? By default, you're in last place. And because you've got the GT500 bringing in the mix at the very top of the food chain with the Hellcat, the Red Eye, and the ZL1, which almost doesn't even need to be mentioned for drag racing. We all know how that thing turned out last. It doesn't matter. You've got another thing that you're looking up at, not looking down at. And that is probably the biggest issue that I've got. Dodge is not supporting the 392 in any way, shape, or form because they don't have to. The 392 has been putting in work, but only up until this past year. And now that the aftermarket has taken to the Mustang like peanut butter takes to jelly, and of course we all know what LT, LS, L, whatever letter alphabet soup that GM's got going on, we all know how well the aftermarket attacks that. So, in saying all of that, where the hell you at, Mopar? You keep talking about how you're going to, support the grassroots racer. However, you have yet to ever prove it. Yeah, you had some drag packages at some point for the 5.7 guys, But the 5.7 guys aren't the ones that are out there selling the Dodge mythos, so to speak. The Hellcat planted a huge flag in the ground for that. The Hellcat was the one that set the stage for the Red Eye, the Demon, or what have you. But guys, it's the 392 that does all the heavy lifting every single day at any given drag strip when you're lining one car up against another with modest budgets. We're not talking superchargers. We're not talking nitrous oxide. We're talking a couple of guys on a tire going at it to see who's got the faster car. That's it. 392 is not a part of that conversation, then Mopar is not a part of that conversation. It all defaults straight to the supercharged stuff, and you lose the entire segment of NA, naturally aspirated. And you've been doing a fantastic job of ruining that for Mopar guys leading into this. So now that we're in last place, thanks for showing up with a car that none of us can buy, that none of us can drive, that none of us will ever even know what race class it's in. Yeah, good job, Mopar. Thanks for alienating all of us once again. So anyway, made it 16 minutes into that rant. Take a sip of Diet Coke here. Not too impressed. I saw some of you guys checking in. What's up, demonology? Them boys saying they really pissed you off. Yeah, they did. CJ's asking if I plan on getting Borla exhaust. Nope. Demonology, preach on, brother. Donald Powers. Yo, Mr. Mason, what up, Donald Powers? Gordon's checking. Who had maximum care? Don't know what that is. Dim boy, what happened to the rumored CUDA Challenger? What happened to the rumored anything? How about this? How about we do a little something different? How about we start talking about the new platform? At some point, Mopar, if you're going to be releasing a car. By the way, why the hell are you even releasing a new, which is more or less just nothing but a new fascia? Why are you releasing a new drag pack? Why are you still even chasing anything with that old ass platform? Look, I get it. It's an amazing platform, but my goodness, how much farther are you going to try to take it at this point? We need to start talking about something new. We need to start talking about something fresh. If you're not going to talk about how you're going to support the actual real grassroots racer, at least show us how you're going to support us, or at least not support us, with a real consumer type car. Not something that's a freaking glorified, whatever the hell you want to call it, go-kart. It's whatever. The first thing that comes to mind, drives me nuts, is the dragster. CJ, not talking about Cyclones tonight. Dim boys, damn, my man B Mason's really pissed you off. Yeah, they did. Gordon's checking in, saying he's been working too much, missed the reveal. Yeah, you did miss it. Canada guy saying, hey, Brian, not sure why they would re-release the drag pack again, and only 50 at that. Yeah, I mean, we're supporting the Grassroots racer because they support us, and they're making the Mopar name great again. Yeah, whatever, dude. Keep your 50 drag packs, 49 of which will probably never see a drag strip, but you're supporting the Grassroots racer. Mark. Demonology. Ain't nobody got time for that. That's right, man. Gordon's checking in. 392, brother. Absolutely, man. T-Mopar saying, hey, there be I race my 5.7 Jeep and it runs 12s at altitude in Colorado, man. I love it. Junkie Chan saying 392 reporting in, no doubt. Team Mopar is in the low 12s. Let's see. I don't know anything about they have an electric Copo. They do, CJ. Christian McVeigh saying, I would love to see a naturally aspirated 426 replace a 392. Those guys need it. We just need an aluminum 392 with a slightly better intake manifold and a little bit more aggressive cam. But even at that, anything at this point, I'll take it. I'll take whatever it is. Just tell me I'm getting something different or something. I don't want to hear about running line tune changes. I don't want to hear about the lifters are better or whatever. It doesn't even matter to me anymore because none of that is going to help the car be more competitive. I want to hear about an aluminum block. I want to hear about a new type of a system that's going to help that car stay out ahead of the Mustang. That's all I care about. Anything else, completely irrelevant to me. I just literally have no time to listen to the type of BS that comes from Dodge at this point. It's absolutely mind-numbing that people are still going to fall for this. And again, it is going to absolutely drive me nuts to hear one more person say Mopar or no car. Because I'll tell you something, Mopar or no car sounds a lot to me like the thing is in the shop and it's got to be fixed. So anyway, let's see. Christian McVeigh with a plethora of official Mopar official upgrades. Absolutely. Junkie Chan saying 426 of factory forged internals. Good luck, guys. All y'all talking about the 426s, man. All I can tell you is this. Just get in line if they ever do decide to release one. I'll be right there with you. I would love to see it. But the cost, you know how it is, man. It's Mopar. Plus, you got to pay Mopar tax. Don't forget about that. Curtis, here's a bag of D, Mopar for sure. Is Christian saying 2023 better be a game changer? It's been keeping us waiting too long, for sure. CJ would like to see a 426. 392 saying, I was at the SEMA event. Of course they added at 426. Why? Mopar is just stroking us. Man, look, I get it, guys. And I'm here to tell you straight away, I mean, I'm not shilling for Mopar. I never really have. In fact, I've been the one guy that's been out there saying, look, y'all chill with the mods on your Mopars. It doesn't always get you a performance gain, and it could actually be a pain in the ass if it goes a different way, either because of the weight or because of the gearing or because of the RPM limits or because of whatever. But this is a case where Mopar doesn't even support its own cause. Let me put it to you like this. Go open any Ford Motorsports catalog. You will be amazed by the offerings that are in that catalog. GM Performance Parts, same thing. But the idea here is that in the Ford Motorsports catalog, not only do you get the right, just this ripe, just bushel of shit you can do to your Mustang, but you get some education in there as well. You'll get some tips, tricks. You'll get tuning. In some cases, used to be anyway, tuning tips. Everything that's involved, you actually get a bit of an education along with this is how these parts work with that. Mopar doesn't even know how to do it themselves, much less tell you how to do it. Anyway, getting back to it, ET Racing. Hey, Mr. Mason, what's up, ET? Jason Leonard, 392 for life, baby. I got some tricks up my sleeve. I fear no staying. I love it, man. Keep it rocking. Keep them staring at those pretty tail lights. Christian McVeigh, as much as I adore the current gen cars, especially the Hellcat, Dodge needs to bring something new. I can't believe we haven't heard anything about the next gen yet. That's another thing, man, guys. Not only are we not hearing about the next gen, it's eerily silent. That's the problem. It's not that it's quiet. It's that it's a little bit too quiet. And I'm getting really sick of them basically Dana Whiting us into what the next platform is going to be. It's not going to be the this platform or the Ghibli platform or whatever the other unpronounceable, miscellaneous consonants strung together randomly named that they come up with for some of these cars. It's not going to be one of those. It's something new. Then it was the LX is going to be revised, slightly lightened. It's going to where is it? Why is it taking this long? Look, I get it. FCA has re-upped their licensing agreement with Daimler Chrysler through 2022, 2023, whatever it is. My God. Okay, so let me get this straight. We're going to be deep into this thing for 15 odd years. From 2008, this is just for the Challenger, for 2008 to 2023, who knows what it's going to be after that, and it's going to be a warmed over version of the current LX platform. Look, LX platform is great. It's very stable at high speeds, does everything just fine, but it's heavy, and you're going to keep milking this thing for how much longer? Dude, the market is passing you by, both literally and figuratively in this case. Dimboy's saying that was stupid, only doing 50 the drag pack. I don't know why they do that. They need to be focused on the Viper, next-gen Charger, and Challenger. Absolutely. And again, it's just a rebadged, re-skinned version of the old drag pack. What's new about it? what, a blown 354 and what, a Power Glide or a 727 or a Turbo 400 behind it? Ooh, wow. Imagine that. Something that's not really all that interesting, to be quite honest with you. It's about as boring as you can get. So yeah, and it's not street legal, and it's not a lot of things. And I tell you what, it's not the next gen Challenger. You're right. It's not the next gen Charger. I think you're onto something there. Not only should they have been talking about that, they should have been talking it up. Guys, you're going to love this. It's going to blow your mind. Get your checkbooks ready. Start saving your pennies and your dimes now. You're going to want this sled. I'm guaranteeing it right now. That, get me hyped up, man. I need a couple of people behind me just, you know, hyping this thing up while I'm chatting it. That's what I want to see from Mopar, since they've been doing that leading up to this. And then drag out Leah Pritchett. Yank Leah Pritchett into this. Did you guys notice the look on her face when Mark was kept with, oh, we have Leah Pritchett here. It's like, oh, shit, here we go with this again. And so they trot her up there like a show pony, get her to rev the car or whatever. I don't even know. They've done this with the 1320. They've done it with this. They've done it with that. And that's the other thing. Speaking of which, credibility really starts to come into play here. I'm also reminded, Dodge, about when y'all decided to go ahead and start posting numbers on the Demon about it runs a 965, yeah, maybe, with no front seat, no back seat, in negative 2,000 foot DA, perfect track prep, and a driver that weighs less than 2 cases of beer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would go 9s, especially when you're given unlimited number of runs and do-overs and give-me's to get it just right. A little too cheeky for me, and quite honestly, a little bit dishonest in the whole process. Made an ass out of yourself, and by the way, you still haven't lived that down yet. Starting to wonder really why it is that Mopar guys keep gravitating back to the brand. What with how we're getting fleeced and all, especially, anyway, sorry, let me get back to y'all's comments. I'm gonna start getting circular with my complaints over here. Speed Freaks checking in and say, hey, keep the garage chats through the winter. Need something to get me through the cold months of no racing. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. ET Racing, or should I call you Mr. Consistent? You need to bracket race that cat. Yeah, she's doing pretty good, man. I mean, and this is a place where Mopar really got it right. The Hellcat, ultra durable, extremely consistent, with just a few modifications, all Mopar parts, by the way. We're talking a 309 gear, a red eye drive shaft, also the same part number as the Demon, by the way. Drag race front and rear tires. Mopar rear seat delete, which is an option for the red eye, and that's it. A little bit of transmission tune finagling, but still running stock timing. Yeah, the car's running pretty low 10s right now, pretty consistent 1020s, and low 1030s, like 1030, 1031. So can't really complain about that out of a car that was released in 2015 and basically was the, the yardstick by which all modern drag race type cars, drag race marketed cars, were going to be measured. So I'm pretty stoked with that. Dim Boy saying, what do you think of an all aluminum dual overhead cam 6.4? I love the idea. I'm a little bit worried about packaging though. That would be the only caveat that I would have with that engine, would be the packaging of it. However, I will say this, if they can make it work, I would say go for it. And by the way, the M156 fits beautifully between the shock towers of the LX platform. If you're not familiar with what an M156 is, I had a 2009 E63. The E63 used the M156 6.2 liter dual overhead cam V8, which made right at 500 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, whatever the torque was. At any rate, that's a pretty wide and big engine, and it would fit pretty well. So yeah, I would say go for it. Do something a little bit different. Do anything different at this point. We need something different. Next on the list, let's see. CJ'd like to see some aluminum Mopar engines. I would agree. Donald Power saying picked up a 2012 5.7 Ram, low miles with training. We'll be doing a swap. Very nice. Should be fun. Ghost74 is asking, what do you think of that French merger with FCA? Yeah, the Peugeot merger. Yay, I guess. But I wouldn't call that a merger. First of all, it ain't a merger if your stock goes up. I'll put it to you like that. Peugeot stock went down by 10%. FCA stock went up by 10%. In that kind of business, that basically means that you're getting bailed out. And yeah, Peugeot globally is a much stronger company than FCA. So, well, there's that. And, you know, they're pretty much just buying the Ram and the Jeep brands. Maserati doesn't do that well here. So Fiat neither. But the other thing, too, is maybe Peugeot will look at it in terms of having an avenue to bring you know, their vehicles to market here. We'll see. I have no idea. But if it makes the brand stronger, that's fine. Doesn't affect me that much. To be honest with you, I'm doubtful if I'll ever buy another Dodge at this stage of the game. Not new anyway. Kennedy, I said, if we're on Mopar talk, I've been looking at the SRT Max Plus cam for my 6.1. Seems pretty good from what I've seen. Makes horsepower up to around 6,500, 6,600 RPM. Not 100% familiar with the specs on that cam, but I can tell you that any cam that's going to hover between, for a 6.1 with that intake, something like probably a 222 intake, 232 exhaust with an LSA of around 113, 114 would probably be right where you need to be. Lift will be usually around 590-ish on both sides with an intake center line of about 109. Anything that looks like that, anything around that specification is going to be good. That would be a good, strong, solid mid to upper mid-range cam if you want to really stretch that thing out. Keep that same intake center line and open up the LSA to about, I would say about 115, make it a little bit easier to tune. But you'll lose a little bit of peak torque with that. Actually, you'll lose a chunk of peak torque and it won't be as peaky. That'll be easier to tune. Megadeth is just saying, I'd love to see a turbo 5.7. So would I. Jimmy's saying, I love the engine upgrade, but honestly, price with no interior upgrade at all. Nope. ET Racing, Brian, what is your personal best 60 foot? In this car, it's a 148 or a 147. Jimmy's asking, I'd just rather wait to save up for a Elephant and classic body with a tuned transmission and do me a build. A lot of guys are saying that right now. But you can't get the Elephant engine because they sold out of them. Jerry Tunn saying, I got the 1320. Hearing all this should just have got the cat. Not necessarily. 1320 is a lot of fun. I mean, you are flying the flag for Mopar, especially if you're going out there sniping after Mustangs like you should be. MG42 is saying, I don't like the transmission. No efficiency. Which transmission are you talking about? Because 8-speed is actually very efficient. Megadeth saying, I've got the 2012 RT with a 6-speed and it's the rear end, hops around like you can't believe. Any ideas? Yes. Check your tire pressure. You may be a little bit low on tire pressure. It could also probably use a set of trailing arms. Dog of the Hut, I like BMR for those, by the way. I have a 2019 Scat Pack wide body. I absolutely love it. They are awesome cars. They handle really well, too. They're a lot of fun to play with. Let's see. CJ's saying the third gen Hemi is basically a semi-Hemi design, just like the Ford 351 Cleveland and Boss 302 was. Actually, you are 100% wrong about that. Those are both known as a canted valve or a twisted wedge design, a la the big block Chevrolets, the same thing. Whereas the Gen 3 Hemi is a Pentastar design, where it is a true flow-through head. The main difference is that it does not have dome pistons, so it has better scavenging than the original Hemi in street trim. Anthony is saying, I can't lie, I was so underwhelmed by them showing the new drag pack. For sure, man, I am right there with you on that. Let's see. I mean, not trying to skip around too much here. I just want to make sure I get everybody in here. Vaquero GTR's got the laughs on. Let's see. Candy saying your bid on the aftermarket is also true. Ford Performance laces their guys with parts, etc. Absolutely, man. I mean, that's the thing. You just cannot imagine the difference that there is in support, because there is none on Mopar, but but Ford Motor Company just drenches you in support. Den Boy's saying Ford and GM are already talking and gearing up for next gen. Did you see the new all-electric Mustang? And we all know about the C8. And, well, Camaro is dead, so there's that. Yeah, very true. You never just know what's going to be popping up after that. But, yeah, for sure. We'll see what they end up popping up with. Let's see. Because I should have yanked her out and started revving it. Gordon's saying, Mark, let's see. Ryan's saying that entire thing looked like a hokey joke. I wouldn't take a Trackhawk, though. Trackhawks are sweet. Anthony's saying it seemed like making a Mopar fast and quick is a scientific experiment. Well, it pretty much is, man. I sweated and still continue to sweat over my camshaft grinds. So I swear 1 degree off here or there, just a little bit of a loss in torque or tip in torque, and that thing is freaking useless in these heavy cars. Let's see. Christian's saying, good point here. He's saying if Dodge would just literally just mention the future of the Charger and Challenger, I'd be happy. Stop playing patty cake and get your fan base excited. Absolutely, because ain't nobody getting excited about a drag pack that nobody can afford and nobody wants. That's the other thing. Who wants this thing? Collectors, I guess, but who buys them on the collector's market? It's a drag car. It doesn't really, and that's the other thing, it doesn't have a pedigree. It's very contrived. Hellcats, Scat Packs, those are the cars with pedigree. Those are the cars that were setting the standard. Keep in mind that when the 392s came out, they were giving Mustangs fits back in, 2011? The 6.1 was giving everybody hell back in 08. So, yeah, let's consider that for a minute. And don't forget where you came from. And you got a reputation to uphold, Mopar. Too bad that reputation, they're picking everything bad out of the reputation that they're trying to uphold, not any of the good. Let's see. E.T. saying, you had me at 2 cases of beer. I like it. Curtis Sims saying, hit thumbs up. All legit, great stream so far. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, hit the thumbs up, all that. Like, subscribe, share, whatever else I'm supposed to say. Go74 saying, Dodge got boring. We have an old platform. The technology is old. People will be flocking to GM and Ford. We are tired of FCA not caring about what we want. Well, here's the thing. They're giving you what they think you want, but they're giving it to you in a very, I don't know. I almost feel like I'm watching sound bits every time I'm hearing these guys talk. The issue is it's all marketing. It's all fluff. It's all thunder, but no lightning. It's all trousers and no pants. It's all whatever you want to call it. It's all however you want to say it, but it's a bunch of bullshit with no real substance behind it. So that's the issue that I've got with Mopar coming into this. It's not that it's not that I don't like Mopar products. It's that Mopar doesn't like Mopar products. They don't stand behind them. They market it. They bullshit you with that. We stand behind those that drive us. But that's this, whatever that slogan was on the back wall. I just about lost my freaking mind when I saw that, knowing how many warranty claims that they've denied on the exact cars being used in the exact way that they've been marketing them to be used. It blows my mind. And so it's because of that I'm just so turned off by it now. I mean, I've been bullshitted and lied to by Dodge and Mopar up to this point for so long that there's no reason for me to stay on board with this. I mean, damn, dude, how many times you got to get slapped before you step? This is basically where we're at with Mopar right now. And by the way, they're going to keep you hanging on for as long as they possibly can, because that's how they keep apparently selling cars, is by marketing and hyping an old ass platform that should have been upgraded probably, 3 to 4 years ago. I mean, yeah, we got the facelift and we got the HP 70s and 90s for the transmissions. And yeah, I guess we got the 6.4. But the reality is that the market has moved way faster than I think Dodge ever had anticipated. And I'm not trying to make excuses here. I'm giving you a reason. They didn't have time to react, but they've got plenty of time to be making a freaking drag pack, don't they? Come on, man. Don't try to have your loyalists start making excuses for you. Give them reasons to win at the drag strip. That's my point. You're having your customers, your loyal fan base, apologizing for the brand that they're loyal to. That is embarrassing on a biblical level. You're being called out for being the man behind the curtain, pulling the strings that you are, man. Oz is falling all around you, and you're still trying to figure out what button to push. Mopar, you got to get with the times, and you've got to get back and get right with your loyal constituents before they holler peace out on you and roll back to Ford or back to Chevy where they came from. Because let me remind you, Mopar, this is not old Mopar buying your cars. This is new Mopar buying your cars. The people that knew Mopar when Mopar was great, at least in the heyday of Mopar, most of those guys are in their 70s now, the late 60s, the early 80s. These are pensioners. These are guys that are probably not even interested in you anymore because you left them a long time ago, basically sometime around 1975. That's why none of these guys are flocking back, but you're hearkening back to a past that your buyers weren't even alive for. Okay, they weren't even born yet, and you're hearkening back to this is our tradition, this is our past, this is where we come from, and then you farm out these cars to the masses. People get out there and they buy into that heritage because they think that it means something. They think that they're basically honoring their dead ancestors by buying this car by the way you're marketing it, only to get kicked square up and soccer punched right in the nuts when they try to bring one of these things back in for warranty work, or when they want to be competitive on the drag strip, having absolutely nobody to turn to and nobody to talk to other than these bullshit echo chambers that are on the internet that don't call out Mopar for being exactly what they are, which is a bunch of freaking hucksters that are taking your money, and they're taking it by selling you a nostalgia that, number one, you weren't alive for, and number two, really didn't even exist. That's where we're at with Mopar right now, guys. That's how you're living this Mopar life, this brotherhood of what the fuck ever. That's what you're living right now. Sorry to say it like that, but that's reality. That's the truth, man. And I'm not going to sit around and, again, make apologies and make excuses for a company that at SEMA doesn't even have aftermarket for the cars that they are trying to say are, let me rephrase this. They didn't even have parts for, this is the I don't know if it's irony or coincidence or whatever, but isn't it weird how they came out there talking about grassroots racers? They came out there talking about the rich heritage of Mopar drag racing, but they didn't have anything for the cars that were a part of the rich heritage of drag racing. They only have the car, if you even want to call it that, if it even qualifies to be called a car, because you can't even drive it on the street. But that is not grassroots racing. That's $100,000 that's driven by well-to-do individuals or sponsored individuals. Yeah, a little bit weird, isn't it? But yet it's Mopar, and they're going to sell you on tradition and sell you on the rich heritage of winning races when they're losing every race that they get into on any given drag strip if they're going up against a naturally aspirated Mustang or a naturally aspirated Camaro. All the while having owned that perch for, albeit a short amount of time, so good on you, man. I guess a broke clock's right twice a day. But you had it for about 2.5 years, the model years of 15, 16, and maybe part of 17. And then the 2018 Mustang showed up and started back slapping everybody upside the head. Let me catch up with everybody real quick. Let's see. Ghost is saying we need a new platform. If it was me, I would twin turbo the 3.6 instead of the 6.2. I would bring back the supercharged 426. Well, we never had well, we kind of did with the Elephant. They need to do something different, but they are talking about turbocharged 6s as replacements for the 5.7. We'll see where that goes. Sam Grell was saying a hybrid all-wheel drive Hellcat. That'd be pretty sick. Let's see. Maybe Tavares will get quality up. Maybe. Long and unpronounceable saying, what's worse, Shelby delaying the GT500 a year and a half after their teaser video, or Dodge possibly not even having a short-term plan for Charger and Challenger? Well, it depends on what camp you're part of. I mean, if you're flying the Mopar flag, you're just sitting around tapping your foot. So I guess we're just going to have to get really good at playing the waiting game. Ford basically just kept tripping over their own junk with the GT500. So, I mean, what's worse? I don't know. The Ford looked like a comedy of errors. Let's see if they got anything right once we start looking at the durability of that new twin disc dual clutch transmission, whatever you want to call it. We'll see what the durability looks like with that contraption and see if they got it right. I'd love to say that they did, but again, we just haven't seen enough of them being run out to really be able to make an opinion to that. That's going to scare a lot of people away from it. And as far as Dodge not doing anything about the new platform, or at least not advertising a new platform or not showing a new platform or anything like that, at this stage of the game, a lot of folks are still buying these cars. So why change it up? Why mix it up if you're making money hand over fist on ancient tooling? Why would you start talking about something new? Well, because everybody is starting to talk about something new. People don't keep these cars forever. They do want to trade them in. They do want to work on them. You did take the damn thing to SEMA, didn't you? That's the reason why. That's the reason why people are wanting to talk about the new stuff, is because the new stuff is really good. It's really exciting. It's really fast. It's awesome. Dodge is still hearkening back to this ancient stuff. And again, hearkening back to a past that their buyers never lived, with marketing bullshit and propaganda that wasn't really 100% reality at the time. You do the math on that. Who's being suckered in this? Who's being bamboozled? Trudy saying, I made it for a live. Woohoo, I like it. Unpronounceable saying, I remember Resume Speed on Challenger Talk about a supercharged Hemi in 2013, 1.5 years before the Hellcat release. There was actually a couple of them. And one of them was a 5.7, by the way. Go74 saying, also, thanks for advice on getting good grades in college. I just hate the electrical part of it. Man, just stick with it, brother. It is definitely worth it. Definitely worth it, man. Snowbird saying, I'm still rocking the 2007 3-valve. Fun car, by the way. Very fun autocross car. Symphonic saying, so if you were to buy another if you weren't to buy another Dodge, what would you buy with a $45,000 budget? I would, depending on what I would use it for, I would take the 45 grand. If it's going to be a weekend only car, I would take the 45 grand and I would take about 30 of it and buy a really sweet C10 pickup with an LS swap. And I would take the other money and put that into, if I had to buy another car with it, because you could probably get two really nice ones for that price, probably a Project Elko. Jerry Tunn saying, for show. Speed Freak saying, Brian, could you tell me what size the stock pulley is on a Hellcat and what are the smaller sizes made that can stay on 93? It's a 3.3, if I'm not mistaken, upper pulley. 317 is good. 295 is good. I would probably say 285 is the limit with a stock lower for what I would suggest running on 93 octane. Just my 2 cents on that. A lot of people will argue that, but I've seen data logs. I know what they look like. I know what the car's like. I know what fuel quality looks like. And if you're running the car consistently at the drag strip, you want to stay as safe as you can. In many cases, the only real difference between an aggressive tune and a stock tune is, well, sometimes there is no difference, to be honest with you. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I mean, you're almost better off running weight reduction than you are throwing a bunch of extra boost at the car. Let's see. But yeah, the 317 is getting a lot of play, by the way. It picks up about 1.5 pounds of boost. You don't need a tune for that pulley. However, I would probably disagree with that, mainly because, again, I've seen logs, I've seen fuel quality issues cause some issues even with stock Hellcat. So stock Hellcat is safe-ish, but it's not 100% safe. Conscious saying, I understand that you guys are tired of the same platform being used for years. The 6.2 Hemi engine is getting old. Any of the Hemi engine platforms are getting a little bit long in the tooth. Canada guy saying, everyone complaining about the Mopars can't handle are straight up wrong. If you ask me, the SRTs and better yet, wide body seem to be very well planted. You guys know my argument against that. When it comes to handling, I'm not really a handling guy, because as far as I'm concerned, I've never felt like the car was just going to fly off the road for no apparent reason. I have loved taking part in closed circuit events, both on motorcycles and with cars, especially my Viper, which I used to love going to the blunt base with that. Also, drag racing, street running, whatever you want to do on the drag strip and on the street. Never had any issues with feeling like the car was ever not stable. They all handle fine for what you're going to do with them. If you want something that's fast on a closed circuit, or if you want a car that handles, you are barking up the wrong tree with pretty much any of these bigger cars. Let's see. Snowbird saying, I have every mod you can do besides CWP, still NA. I like it. Do you plan on doing a video about your thoughts on the new GT500? Yes, I am. It is probably going to be Sunday when I do that one. I wanted to let a little bit of the hangover wear off from the embargo being lifted on the GT500, but I am going to give my thoughts on that car. If you've seen any of my previous videos, not a lot has changed, but I may be a little bit more friendly towards that car. Stay tuned. I'm going to try to put something together on Sunday for that. Never saying, I don't know what I'd be thinking, man. I'm right there with you on that. Trudy saying, I love my 15392, but I'm really considering a newer Hellcat or a new GT500. I love all the big three. I come from a GM family, but I had a bunch of combat vet neighbors who were Ford guys growing up. And that's the thing, guys, like I was saying earlier, man, Mopar right now is all new Mopar. You've got guys that came from Ford. You've got guys that came from Chevrolet to Mopar. Ford and Chevrolet are doing a hell of a good job of marketing to those guys, and they're getting a lot of them back in droves. And you guys know what I've said over the years. If you want a smoking good deal on a 392 powered Mopar, look no farther than the used car department of your local Ford dealership. I can't tell you how many times I've driven past a Ford dealership, and in their used car lot, they'll have half a dozen 392 powered contraptions sitting over there, and a lot less Mustangs in their inventory. Sean, he's checking in with the window tint, man. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm missing anybody. Trudy's saying, I'm still iffy on that Ford dual clutch. Yeah, me too, man. Christian McVeigh saying, time will tell if that GT500 is still for the 6-speed 1314. It's probably one of my favorite cars ever. I love any of the GT500s, man. I've always been a massive fan of the GT500s. I'd love to find an 05, 06, to be honest with you. I got plans for that thing. Trudy is saying the 8-speed to me was a game changer. It pairs so well to 392, and that's an understatement. Yeah, it does. Need a little bit more gear, but yes, it is an awesome package. No doubt about it. Trudy's saying, Abby Mason, if you had to get rid of the Hellcat, what car would you have? If I did get rid of the Hellcat, which I don't plan on doing, I really, really like this car a lot. But if it would take something extremely, it would take something that is sweet on pretty much every level to get me to move away from, or at least to avert my eyes enough. to watch this thing drive away. It would probably be something along the lines of a 69 Roadrunner. That would be the first thing that comes to mind. Any of the B-body Mopars, big block build type of deal, you know, do a 468 cubic inch big block. You know, that would be the only thing I could think of. It would be old school. There's really nothing new that I would just go hand over fist for. There's nothing out there that's new that I'm in love with. But if I did have to get something newer, it would be a GT500, an older one, not the new one. Shawnee's saying, funny, the guy introducing the drag pack must have forgot all the parts that are on all VIN-locked, Red Eye and Demon, but he kept bragging about all the parts that are available. Yeah, it's funny. You got 500,000 parts, and the only ones that I care about are VIN-locked. Really, Dodge? That was, again, part of the school of fish, you know, shark in a school of fish. So, yeah, let's talk about these VIN-locked parts, by the way, Mopar guy. Mark Basonic. Prick. Talking about, we've got 500,000 parts. Do you really, Mark? Do you? So let me tell you something, Mark. I own a Hellcat, and as a Hellcat owner, I want to put a Red Eye drive shaft in my car because I am taking my car to the drag strip. And, well, let's put it to you like this, Mark. Your Mopar drive shaft twists up like freaking linguine, all right? So, yeah, I want something that's, oh, and you will deny my claim because I'm not running a stock tire on the back of my car. So, swing and a miss already. But here's the thing, Mark, I can't buy a Red Eye drive shaft because they're VIN-locked. That's really strange. Why the hell would that be? Oh, and let's also say, just for the sake of argument, that I wanted to buy a Demon hood because I like the way that they look. Oh, wait, the Demon hood, that's VIN-locked. Well, let's take a look at that for a minute. How that just makes no damn sense whatsoever. And let's follow the irony or whatever the right terminology is for this. You mean to tell me, Mopar, that I can't buy a hood for a car that you sell for why? Why? Is it because it's limited production? It ain't like you forgot how to make the damn hoods. It ain't like you forgot how to freaking sell them. It ain't like you ain't got it with you. If I needed a hood, you can make me a hood. And by the way, if I needed a drive shaft, there's plenty of them rolling around in some warehouse you can put into a box and ship to me. If I go into any Chevrolet dealership, I can say, hey, Chevy dealership guy, can I buy a ZR1 hood? Chevy dealership guy is going to say, hell yeah, you can. You give me some money, you can buy anything you want. I say, I want a fin, I want a rim, I want a drive shaft, I want a header, I want a nut, I want a bolt, I want a cup holder. They'll sell me anything I want, but you want to run a freaking VIN check on a drive shaft? You gotta be kidding me. VIN checking parts is an embarrassment, and it makes you look really, really shitty, Dodge. Talk about hot rodding being dead and not supporting your constituents, as I was saying earlier, through that we support those that drive us banner on the back wall, yet I've got to try to figure out a way to clandestine myself a freaking drive shaft or whatever else I would like, maybe a set of Demon rotors or something like that. Is that VIN-locked too? We stand behind those that drive us. Get fucked. I am so sick and tired of that. The other thing I'm sick and tired about is every single time I go into Mopar parts, this is something else. I can tell you how they paid for this whole thing. Have you ever bought Mopar parts? Get ready. Your ass is about to get about 5 pounds lighter because they're going to suck all the money right out of your ass. Perfect example. Keep this thing sitting around and freaking feel like Carrot Top with props. Mala filter, part number X3482. That's the filter that I run in this car that runs low tens, by the way. I'm not the guy that removes his air filter. My air filter stays in the car and it still runs 1020s, baby. Let me ask you something. How much do you think this air filter would go for if it had the Mopar part number on it? I'll just cut to the chase. $64. $64 fucking dollars for a damn air filter. Are you kidding me? That thing costs $25 on Amazon, and it just kind of shows up like a couple of days after you give Amazon $25. You show up to any Mopar parts house, that's how they're going to get you. They get you through parts cost as well. It is embarrassing the cost on these things. If you're paying full retail for Mopar parts, you're not only paying Mopar tax, you're just getting screwed in the process. So yeah, thanks, Mark. Good job. Good job getting up there and bragging about all the parts that you got, only to kind of forget the fact that you're fleecing the guys that are buying your cars. $50, $60 for an air filter. Let me show you what this air filter looks like. $50, $60 for something that's got made out of rubber and paper and a little bit of hot glue. Rubber and paper, man. Rubber and paper. Somebody's got the nerve to freaking get $60 for this thing. Get this thing off of Amazon. They're still making $10, $12 a filter on this thing, even at $25. What a freaking racket. Let's see. Daniel's saying Mopar does have a lot of marketing without competitive performance to back it up, but it's still the best looking car. Mustang and Camaro don't even come close in my opinion. That's good, man. I mean, a lot of guys love the way they look. And if you're buying it for the looks, sweet. If you're buying it for the driving experience, even better, because I will say this. There's nothing that's quite as sweet as dragging a 392 out on a cool day and just letting the thing roll through the gears at about 3/4 throttle. Those things are snappy, they're torquey, and they run just fine, in my opinion. It's just when you put them up against a Mustang, the clinical precision that the Mustang has over these things, well, the 392s anyway, that's where they win. But winning, they might win the race, but they don't win your heart the way that the Mopar does. And that's why people get so worked up over these things, because it is such a, not only is it an emotional thing, but it's so just engrossing, man. You put so much of your life into it. You work so many hours to pay for this stuff. You want to be excited about it. You want to be hyped about it. You want to hear somebody cheering you on. You want to have that as part of your experience. It's not just the drive. It's not just the look. It's the whole lifestyle behind it. You're buying into a lifestyle. And believe me, brother, you're buying into this lifestyle. That's what I'm talking about when we're talking about this that is all Mopar. And for them to not have the back that you need to have, that's the embarrassing part of it. All the meanwhile watching the competition get better and better and better. In this case, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse by comparison. Step the game up, Mopar. It's time. It's been time for a while. You need to do the right thing and start throwing some cash at the 392 guys, the guys that have been flying your flag the highest, the guys that have been flying your flag the longest, and the ones that put you in a position where you could yammer on, Mark, about drag packs and about whatever and this and that. It's the fuel that the guys are burning at the drag strip through their 392 that are allowing you to get to the place that you're at now. Just know that coming in. Philip saying, hey man, your hood is shut. Yeah, it is. Good calling. Good eye, Philip. My man. Because this is an open and shut case. Nevin Muscle saying, then on top of that, Mopar and Chrysler material with reliability goes down the drain. I can agree with that. Shawnee, most of us new Mopar guys drove Mustangs in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s because there was nothing available rear-wheel drive from Chrysler. That's right. Unless you like trucks, you didn't get nothing. Daniel Lopez saying, have you seen the news report of Chrysler workers drinking, smoking weed on their lunch break? Might have something to do with some of the challenges, no pun intended, that they have faced. Well, you might have to build the same thing over and over and over again for 15 years. You got to do something to keep your mind alive. For real, Daniel. It's coming out of Neville. Let's see. Trudy saying, I totally agree with the aftermarket for Mopar. The Mopar website is pretty disappointing. That's putting it nicely. Charitable on your part, Trudy. Saying how they are so far behind Ford and Chevy aftermarket is beyond me. Yeah, it's been beyond me for a long time. Nevin saying, do you think the older something, don't know what you're trying to say, brother. What's bugging you more, Brian? Not enough reasonable parts for NA392 or VIN-locked parts? Where do you start? I mean, number one, let's talk about VIN-locked parts. We just did. Lack of parts for the 392, lack of support for the 392, lack of anything for the 392. I mean, how about, can you mix in just a gear ratio for the ZF rear end? Can you mix in a 331 for the 392 guys? Just a little taste. Give them a little taste of something. Maybe not more power, maybe not a lighter platform, but just a taste, just a little something to keep the 392 guy happy, something to make the 392 guy feel good, feel important, feel like he's being cared for, being a part of something. Quit talking about the Hellcat. Quit talking about the red eye. Quit having Bill Goldberg driving around in a sled. Don't do that. Just a gear. Oh, that's all I'm looking for. Just gear. 331, 327, like a 331. Just to make 392 guy feel good. Make a 392 guy a little bit more competitive, maybe. How about that? Mix in a little bit of some competitive, just a competitive shove for the 392 guy. Can you do that, Dodge? Just a little something, one part number. It's all needs one. It's one, not five, not six, just one. Not three, one. Just the 331. That's it. All you need. Boom, done. Next. That's all I need. Just one. Just can't even do that. Let's see. Nevin, let's see. Oh, Nevin's saying the older classic muscle cars were built stronger. They were built out of 16 gauge steel, brother. They were absolutely stronger in many cases, but they needed to be because they rusted so badly. Nevin saying, and they were built from steel, very much so. Christian saying, never thought I'd see B. Mason doing a Mopar roast. Yeah, check in. Catalyst, why don't they just make the 426 aluminum block the standard V8 engine? They can do that, change nothing else, and have a better product, in my opinion, in your opinion, and in a lot of folks' opinion too. A lot of people share that opinion. Shawnee's saying that drag car is a publicity stunt to sell a bunch of new $40,000 Challengers and Chargers. Problem is, Sean, people are looking right past it. They're looking right through it. They're looking at that, and they're seeing it as a roadblock. The reason why they're seeing it as a roadblock is because they're sick of getting fleeced. They're sick of getting bamboozled and hucked by these people that are trying to tell them and sell them a lifestyle and a car and a product that is not performing the way that it is advertised. Shawnee, my 392 Challenger cannot hang with a stock 5-liter Mustang 10-speed on a tire. He pulled 3 car lengths and 5 miles an hour. Yeah, that's a nasty race to try to get into, I'll tell you. With manual scatty. Let's see. Simon says electrical is the future of mechanic. That is very true. Nevin saying, yep, cars are getting more computerized with sensor components. Actually, they are, but you should have been around for the transitional period when they had it was more like mechanical, the cyborg era where you had mechanical and electric trying to work together, and it didn't really anyway. I even say another full year and there is no update to the Challenger Charger in regards to NA power or weight change. Hopefully something changes soon because I'm not leaving the Coyote train anytime soon. Absolutely, man. It's too hard to walk away from something that's that good when you're not getting any news from anywhere else that you're looking. Johnny Ghosh saying, I eat Challengers for breakfast in my leaf. Yeah. I bet you do. Let's see. Dim Boy saying, are you going to do a video of the all-electric Mustang and what you would want in the next gen Mustang? Yeah, I mean, if they officially release it, I would love to. I mean, you're talking range at that point, but an all-electric Mustang, that would be sick to death. And just think of the instant torque hit. Again, it depends on how they make the car and how they market it. It depends on the direction they're really looking to go. If they're looking to make a product that is going to be commuter friendly, then it's not going to be a monster. But if they did something like a la Tesla, where you've got ludicrous mode or batshit crazy mode or nutty bitch mode, whatever you want to call it, if they've got something along those lines, that would be freaking awesome. This ultra eco mode for ultra range mode, whatever you want to call it. Whatever they want to do with it, that would be great. But I know that the engineering is there and the backing would be there. And you know, something that you can get, you know, 4 or 5 hits at the drag strip, drive there, drive back, charge it up, have, you know, a 300-mile range. That'd be pretty sick. Let's see. Max saying my dream car too. I like it. Dim Boy saying, what the fuck? The hood is VIN-locked. Yeah, it is for the Demon, and it might even be VIN-locked for the Red Eye in Challenger. That's why I couldn't find one for my Challenger I was going to get in 2018. Very much so, pain in the ass. Christian saying, I bet Mopar guys will be heading to the C8. The next gen Mopars aren't up to par. No pun intended. I'm sure they're right. I'm not a Corvette guy by any means, but I give credit where it's due. Absolutely. Trude saying, wow, I didn't know about the VIN-locked parts. I have a flat black Hellcat hood on my 15 SRT. Got it through Speed Logics. What a good way to get him too. Got it through see, makes me sad. It's just another black eye for Ford and Ford versus Chevy aftermarket. Very much so. Devin's got the last. Shawnee's saying stock drive shaft. Ran a 155 60 foot. I got lucky. It was a pretzel in waiting. Absolutely, man. Snowbarrel saying, what are your thoughts on Buick 455s? Father-in-law has a 69 455 Buick Grand Sport blueprinted board. 38 over. It's an interesting overbore. Fully forged 13-to-1 compression. They do well. They're lightweight blocks by big block standards, but you got to worry about them cracking at high RPM levels. But aside from that, you'll be pretty good with them. Just keep the RPM down to probably about $6,000 as a cap. I think you'd be in pretty good shape with that. I'm not a Buick specialist. I just know what I remember the old Buick guys talking about at the drag strip and what the machine shop guys would talk about when they talked about those 455s. A lot of them loved them for what they were. But again, you know, keep the RPMs down, make sure that thing doesn't crack or reinforce the block, however they did that. Let's see. The boy's saying, see, that's Dodge's problem. They constantly leave their lower trips in the dirt. Look at Chevy and Ford. They put 10 speeds in their entry level and parts for their higher trims in the entry levels. That is true. True saying, can Mopar have their bottom ends with powdered parts or partially forged? From what I understand, like the Coyote. The Coyote, from what I understand, can take a decent amount of extra power stock. Actually, there is nothing wrong with the bottom end for any of the Mopar engines for that matter. And it's not really the rods that are in bad shape. They are still powdered metal, but it's forged powdered metal. They're actually pretty strong. The issue is the pistons with a 392. And, you know, the 5.7 can actually take quite a bit before they start freaking out. So freaking expensive to get that number out of them, because parts for Mopars are obnoxiously expensive. Good boys saying they're making dinner competitions for their own product by only focusing on the higher trim levels. That's true. And it's also causing a lot of dissent within the Mopar community. I have never in my life seen a community that is as incestuous as Mopar owners are. Each one of this is why I don't get into any of the forums or any of the Facebook chat or whatever that you call those things. I don't really get into a lot of that because a lot of it there's some great information on some of the forums, but a lot of times it turns into an echo chamber about complaints and a bunch of infighting. It's cringy as hell. Too much bullshit, too much shit talking, and it's just people need to know their place and they need to know the limitations of the platform that they have. And you don't see these types of issues in Chevy boards or Ford boards. Everybody pretty much gets along. Everybody tries to help each other out. That's not the case with Mopar, and I would bet that it's a sign of frustration more than anything else. I think it's a symptom of a much larger problem, and that is the fact that Mopar doesn't stand behind their cars, and these owners are starting to feel that. A lot of these owners have spent tons of money on their cars to try to make them competitive, only to find out that now they're not competitive with cars that cost much less than what they've spent on their car, much less the mods as a total. Let's see. Ethan saying, what's with how badass that new 10-speed Coyote is? The thing is the most dominant of the big three right now. Just threw 18 intake manifold on my 5.0 and got gains. Could never get out of an old 392. That's the big issue with the 392 is that you can get gains. It's still an internal combustion engine, guys. There's no difference between 392, 318. It doesn't matter. It's all a reciprocating pump. The big difference, though, is how those power gains are translated in a car that's this heavy. One of the things that I used to get when I worked at the shop was I want a cam that chops. Well, the problem with a cam that chops is that you're basically advertising that you make no power down low. The issue is with a car this heavy, you need something that'll get that thing out of the way and or get that thing moving. And to do that, you need a cam that helps to create bottom end torque. The issue is that you can get big gains out of the car with cam, intake, headers, things like that. It's how much does it cost? And will the gain even help? If I kill power down low to grab power up top, I got to be able to spin this engine to about 7,200 RPM. Problem is, there's no intake manifold that'll help you spin that high. I mean, you can maybe get the Edelbrock intake extrude hone. I don't know, Holly has a new intake for these things, but that's what you're going to have to do. But you're going to lose out on that snappy throttle response that you're so spoiled by with a 392. And basically, you have just then at that point LS'd your 392. Not necessarily the best place to be. So that's why modifying Mopars is so hard. That's why we need a lighter platform. That's why we need gear ratios. That's why we need different intakes and cam combinations and things like that to help these cars stay competitive and to make the owners of the Mopars feel like there's something special as opposed to feel like they're in last place, which is where they're at. Let's see. Philip saying, I mostly run 8th mile. Would a 390 gear help my ET? I have a Scat Pack with Mickey Thompson drag radials. No, it won't. It's a little bit too much gear. 370 might help you. But even then, I think that might be a bit much. Stephanic saying, tips for us guys in the north for winter car storage. Any tip to give us? Full tank of gas? That is correct. Extra air in the tires? That is correct. And disconnect the battery. Don't overcomplicate it. That's right. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't forget to change your oil right before you put it into storage as well. Depending on how long you're going to be in storage for, I wouldn't really recommend this if you got a Hellcat, but you might want to pull the plugs if you've got a Scat Pack and just put a quick shot of WD-40 into the cylinders as well. Make sure there is no trash around the vehicle and make sure that it doesn't get any mice in there too. Make sure it's fully enclosed. Then boy saying, I decided to scrap the C7 Corvette, but I'm working on another car thanks to a video you did in the past. The car is a lot cheaper and there are way more mods available for the platform. Very cool, man. I like it. Christian saying, do you think the next gen Mopars will keep the manuals? Probably. Seems to be dying at an alarming rate. Very much so. He's a la the 2020 GT500. Let's see. Shawnee's saying the biggest discrepancy is how much the 5-liter will take a blower versus the 392. Very, very good point. Let's see. King Cobra saying, aren't 392 bottom ends maxed out from the factory? Mainly it's the pistons. It's really not the bottom end. It's got a forged crank from the factory. The rods are actually pretty decent, but it's the pistons that are causing the problem. Let's see. Trudy's saying, didn't you recently change to a 309 gear in the Hellcat? I did. Which gear would you recommend in a Hellcat for a strictly street hoon car? 309, man. Every time, all the time. Love me some 309 for sure. But stock isn't bad, but 309 I feel is a little bit better. Especially with a tune. If you don't have a tune, the 309 can actually feel a little bit soft. There's just nothing for that torque to push against that engine's making. Chris is asking, would you build up a 5.7 or just buy a 392 considering the cost of building a 5.7? Just buy the 392, man. That's what I would do. And unless you're planning on going boost, 392 will be just fine for you if you want to stay Mopar. Christian McVeigh saying, did you see the new flat plane crank C8R? I have not seen it, but I bet you it's wicked. Starting to really warm up to that new vet, by the way. Chase Carr is asking, what gear would you recommend for a manual 392 if not stock? Well, it already comes with a 3.92 gear ratio. It's the most aggressive of the group, and I don't know that I would say to go with any other gear. No real reason to. 392 manual is actually a lot of fun to drive, by the way. Cal will say, do you ever have the engineers at Mopar reach out to you for design ideas? Clearly not, right? But no, nobody ever reaches out to me for any of my ideas. All they got to do is watch one of the videos and they'll pick up on where I'm coming from. But at any rate, guys, I want to thank all y'all for hanging out. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. We're getting close to about an hour and a half into this. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the video, a little bit of a rant on my end of it, but you know, if you don't have passion, then you don't belong to this hobby anyway. You know, for me, it's just more of the same with Mopar. If they're going to get it right, they're going to have to start getting it right soon, because the people that I've talked to that are coming up on either leases that are up with Hellcats, or they're looking to start making a change with Scat Packs, 392, stuff like that. A lot of the guys that I've talked to, I would say if I had 10 of them, I would say 8 of them are not looking at buying Mopar again. That's really where we are with this entire discussion. Is at the end of the day, would you buy another Mopar? Would you buy into the hype? Would you buy into the hype knowing that you're coming into the worst customer service with the most caveats that find every excuse to try to screw you out of what you've been marketed to be able to take part in? That's the question that I have. And if you're still willing to buy into that, why is that? You might want to take a second guess. Is it the driving experience? Is it the marketing? Is it the car itself just in styling? These are the questions you need to ask yourself, because right now, as many buyers have moved to Mopar, you're getting a lot of the early adopters, and you're getting a lot of guys that were originally into these things starting to step. So at any rate, I'll leave you with that. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Coming into it, I'm hoping to be at the drag strip bright and early tomorrow. Supposed to have some great, I say bright and early after I get out of the office. Supposed to have some fantastic weather, so I'm looking forward to that. But aside from that, I'll try to get y'all some ride-along videos. I'm going to wrap it up here. Y'all have a fantastic weekend. Adios.